One thing to really appreciate too is the fact that they've also added the like visual tracking, so you can see if you look up with your character. I did decide to add like a windmill here, so if we just kind of keep shooting at these targets as fast as we can, there you go, look at that. And now here you can really start to see some of the big changes in accuracy and the deviations that I was talking about. And here's a beautiful view actually of... Hey everybody, it's Moonbo here, and this is a very special episode of Scrap Mechanic. I am so excited, guys. I get to finally show you this bad boy right here. Look at that. That is the Spud Gun. That is right, guys. Is finally in the game. So there's quite a few things that we will be checking out in this video. This video is going to be testing the Spud Gun, and there are a few ways that we can do this. Right here in front of us, we have a physics testing zone, so there's a few things that we'll be going through as far as the Spud Gun goes and shooting at some stuff and seeing how these things react to it. We're also going to be doing some extensive testing on the range and drop-off of the potato, as well as its accuracy and also the velocity and the speed of the actual spuds that come out of it. So let's get testing. Now, before we go through the physics portion of the testing phases, let's take a look and appreciate the new mechanics and animations that have been implemented due to the Spud Gun. So right here you can see I'm hanging out. I have some extra vision so we can see everything from the outside. Now, you can see he's now obviously holding on to the Spud Gun. This is completely new. If we right click, there you go, you can see you can actually aim down the sights of the Spud Gun. You can obviously shoot the thing as well. Now look at that. That looks pretty cool. You can see he kind of gets an angry smirk on his face when he's shooting. And I do enjoy the animation of the aiming down the sights there as well. One thing to really appreciate too is the fact that they've also added the like visual tracking, so you can see if you look up with your character or if you look down with your character, it will actually track the whole thing now. So that does add a whole new layer to the Scrap Mechanic characters as well. And I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So another thing that we can actually test here is the run mechanic here. So let's just kind of try and keep track of this. There we go. So now you can see with the Spud Gun out, the running animation is completely different. We can actually also kind of back it up here as well. And there you go, you can see it's completely changed now. So some stuff to kind of notice as far as the Spud Gun goes, but now let's move on to the physics. Alright, so on this strip of concrete here, you can see I have various targets and a few weird things set up over here, and this is, of course, to do a bit of physics testing as far as the Spud Gun goes. So, let's get our Spud Gun out. Here it is. Now, look, that looks absolutely fantastic. Here is the first person aiming down the sights. You can see we can shoot ourselves some potatoes, and of course, you can also shoot from the hip as well. But we are going to shoot some of these things here and see what happens. So, right here, I wanted to do this one first, actually. This is just a simple target on some bearing hinges. So let's actually just take a shot at that. And there you go. Look at that. It can knock things down just like so. Can we flip it back up, actually? Oh, almost. We could almost flip it back up. So that's pretty simple though, but I did decide to add like a windmill here, so if we just kind of keep shooting at these targets as fast as we can, there you go, look at that. You can actually get things spinning with the Spud Gun as well. Now, it's important to mention that there are mountable Spud Guns in the game over here. We'll be getting to those in a second though, but we do have a few more tests here. So this one right here is just a piston. I've attached the piston to a controller so that way it will extend, and we're going to try and shoot that and see what happens. It looks like there is nothing happening whatsoever. There's not enough power in this potato to move a piston. But over here we have a suspension piece. This has been set right here to 3, which is the default. Now let's see what happens here. Ah, there you go. Look at that. We can actually see the entire target is bouncing in and bouncing back again. Now if we drop that down to 2, let's see what happens here. Oh yeah, so it does push in just a little bit further, and if we drop it all the way down to 1, we can shoot it in and it no longer extends anymore. Now if we try and go in the other direction, The 4, you can see it's a bit of a stiffer bounce, and if we go up to maybe 6, it's starting to get extremely stiff, and no doubt if we go up to a certain height, there's 10, completely stiff as well, 9, and here we can kind of maybe get an idea of how much force is actually being exerted by the potato. And right here, I would say, is kind of like the magic number. So number 7 on the resistance here of suspension is kind of at where you are when it comes to the actual forces of the Spud, which is pretty cool. Now, over here, I have some sensors. There was a lot of questions about whether or not Spuds would be able to activate sensors, so I did add a few here. Now, I put a few in a row here that you can activate by walking in front of them, and there is one that you can activate by going directly towards it. And this was to hopefully get a really good idea as to whether or not it will activate sensors. So here we go. This is a pretty simple test. We will just shoot right here, and there is your answer, guys. We cannot activate sensors with these Spuds. Not yet, anyway. So maybe that is something they will add to the game. I was thinking you could even change the color of your Spuds. So maybe if you had teammates, you could have team challenges that activated sensors to do certain things against your opponent. Who knows what, but I'm getting a lot of awesome ideas for some multiplayer stuff with this Spud Gun. Now, over here, this is one of the mounted Spud Guns. Now, this is just not really necessarily some specific testing or anything. I just have a couple things set up right here so that we can actually test it. So if you press the button on this side and that side, it will rotate your mounted Spud Gun. And I have this one here hooked up to a button. There we go. Look at that. You can shoot it by pressing the button, of course. Now, you could definitely attach that to a seat and shoot it from a seat, as well as control the turret like this from side to side. Lots of endless possibilities there, and we'll talk a bit about that later in the video. Now, over here, we have ourselves a switch. Now, I just wanted to see what would happen. So a switch will just fire one single Spud, and then you have to reset the whole thing to get it shooting again. Now, you can do it pretty fast, though, but obviously, I think the button is the better choice. And over here, I have another mounted Spud Gun set up to a sensor. Now, this was just kind of to see what I could connect and not connect to a Spud Gun that was mountable. And here you can see it's actually shooting Spuds every time we walk in front of this. So maybe there's an application here. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'm sure we could probably do something pretty cool with the sensors. Now, I will mention that controllers do not hook up to the Spud Gun whatsoever. I didn't think they would, but I figured I would test it anyway. Now, over here, let's get the Spud Gun back out again. So this is just one of the large tanks from the vanilla Scrap Mechanics. So if we try and shoot it, you can see it's actually providing a pretty decent amount of resistance. Now, this is a really, really big tank, though. Now, one thing that's really awesome is how you can actually completely spray at it and gain momentum. Now, look at this. After a while, you can just keep shooting it, and I mean, if we can keep our aim right, there you go, look at that. I have just completely launched that tank away from us. Can I hit it from here? There you go, look at that. We can keep on hitting it and everything. But I mean, it's getting pretty far, so it's kind of hard to shoot. But you can see that repetitive shooting from the Spud Gun does provide a lot of bonus physics there. And of course, the final two things when it comes to the Spud Gun in the game, we have some cardboard blocks, and now the vanilla glass block is both destructible with the Spud Gun. And it's pretty cool, so if we shoot at it, there you go, you can see it will shoot just a single hole out of it, and that's all it will do at the moment. So you can take continuous shots just like that, and you can see you can slowly carve out some of this cardboard, and you can even make some of them free-sitting just like that, and we're kind of launching them around. So a lot of possibilities when it comes to creations there. The glass is really cool. You can actually hear and see it shattering, and it's just so satisfying. It makes me want to build so many destructible things now, and I think we're getting very close to some complete destruction physics that we might be able to implement with different types of physics, like maybe collisions and stuff. So, very promising stuff. Now, that is kind of like an overview of the physics, the animation, but now we're going to move on to testing the accuracy as well as the velocity and the fall off of the Spud Gun. Alright, so the first test that we're going to be doing is the fall off of the Spud Gun. Now, we have this awesome grid right here that we're going to be tracking, a beautiful view from the first person as well, and I will mention that we are going to be aiming directly at the horizon. So, you can actually see, I'm taking some shots, and we can see far left there, some of these are actually landing, but now look closely. You can see that some of them land a little bit further than others, and every now and then you get a very big variation like that one right there. You can see it goes a little bit further. Now, the shooting does not affect the actual accuracy. I can take as many shots as I want like this. We're gonna rapid fire these, and you can really see that the landings are all over the place. So the vertical accuracy and the fall off of the potato gun is actually kind of inconsistent. Now, over here, I'm going to be doing some accuracy testing. I've got a target right there. You can see it is 2 by 16 away from the actual shooting. Behind that one, I've got a second one, which is 4 by 16 away. And then behind that one there, we got a third one. So hopefully we'll get an idea of the accuracy. Now, I am using a satellite. I thought it was pretty good as a target. It's round. We got a circle in the middle, and hopefully it'll give us something good to shoot at. So I'm really hoping that we might be able to learn something here by shooting at these targets, actually. So let's check it out here. Alright, we got the view there. So I'm going to start taking some shots here from the 2 by 16 distance, and we're going to see what happens. Alright, so it really looks like the accuracy is pretty consistent here from the first person. You can see it's not really deviating from that center circle of the satellite, and no matter how fast and no matter how many shots I try and take with the Spud Gun, you can actually see it is just continuously hitting that center circle. So maybe not the best example, but I guess we're going to set up here to the second target, directly square to the center of the circle. Let's take some shots. Now, this one looks like it's pretty much the same thing. One thing I did notice in these tests is it's pretty consistent over and over again. You can see it's pretty much hitting the same spot, but every now and then you get the odd deviation that will actually go a little bit farther than the other ones. And I would say that's maybe once every 5 or 6 potatoes. But now we're going to move on to the farthest target here. And this will give you a better idea of those deviations that you see from that center. So let's take a few more shots here, and there you go. You can see every now and then, like that one there, it went to the left, it went up to the side, but I mean, no matter what though, you can see it does move around. We're not missing the target, so I figured I would probably have to increase the range drastically. So here we're about halfway down the grid. And now here you can really start to see some of the big changes in accuracy and the deviations that I was talking about. And here's a beautiful view actually of the first person, and you can really see the drop-off happening as well as the changes from left to right. But nonetheless, it's always going to keep hitting that target, and your accuracy, you never really need to compensate. But now this is the full grid length. This is quite the distance. I really had to compensate for the drop-off. You can see the huge arc in the potatoes there, just like that. But overall, it's pretty accurate. But here, listen to this now. This is the distance. So, I mean, I'm missing some right there, but you can hear that some of those shots, they take almost 2 seconds to travel. And here, this is a good angle to show you guys the actual distance. Now, if you look really close, you can see the spuds traveling. It might be kind of difficult, but if we get a close-up shot here, you can see that they are really dropping down. The crosshair on the right there is aiming almost twice as high as the target there. But nonetheless, really interesting stuff. Now, there's another thing I can mention about this Spud Gun, and that is, of course, like I mentioned, you can aim down the sights just like this, but now you can actually scroll out into third person, and when you aim down the sights this way, you get a beautiful third person over the shoulder kind of look. And I mean, it really, really does change the way you kind of imagine how you play Scrap Mechanic now. So now, guys, I'm going to leave the floor open to you guys down below in the comments. Make sure you leave a suggestion for something that you would love to see in Scrap Mechanic that is using this new Spud Gun, whether it be the mountable one or the one that I'm holding in my hands right now that I can shoot. I'm looking forward to seeing your guys' suggestions and seeing where this Spud Gun takes us. I hope you guys did enjoy this video and that you found it extremely informative as far as the Spud Gun goes and what we are capable of. If you did enjoy it, then make sure you let me know by hitting that like button and maybe even leaving a comment down below with what you thought and maybe what you'd like to see in the future as well. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Endless Scrap Mechanic, and I guess I'll be seeing you in the next one, so bye for now.